Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Naomi Potter. Today I am joined by Heather Jackson. She's the founder of brand GenM. We know that 23% of women consider quitting their jobs due to the impact of menopause. But females over 40 starting businesses are twice as likely to succeed than those in their 30s. Heather, why do you think that is?
Why do I think it is a successful business is in your 40s or 50s? Because I think you've actually had a life, you've had experience, and you're ready to actually take all those experiences and bundle them all together and create. I mean, I've had businesses all my life, but my best business and my most successful business and my most purposeful business is the one that I'm doing now. And why did I start it? Because actually I was a perimenopause woman who couldn't find what she was looking for. And I thought, this is ludicrous. So actually I looked into it, and we can talk more about it in the moment. But I do believe that you get to the stage of, you know, I've got a quote on my wall that says, actually, some people want things to happen, others wish it would happen, and then there's those that make it happen. And I think by the time you get to your 40s and 50s, you're fed up of waiting for people to make things happen, and you think, hang on, if not me, you know, why not me? And I think that's a great empowering side of being in your 40s and 50s, that life experience tells you who you are, what you are, and hopefully you like yourself by this stage in life. But then actually by liking yourself, for me, that's not enough in life. It's what was I brought on this world to do. And you were always trying to find our purpose. We're always trying to find whether, you know, and it comes the point of you're running out of time to find your purpose, get on with it and
Did you
do
feel
it.
like you were running out of time?
I think my dad always brought me up to be, he always used to say, you know, he always was a 17-year-old and everyone would say, you're a young man in a hurry. And he said, I'm glad I've always been in a hurry because, you know, he's 84 now and he's had an incredible life and everything else. So I think in my life I've always run at things anyway. And I've not been worried about death and I've not been worried about anything going forward, but I have appreciated every day that we're given. And I think you are on a ticking time bomb. Time is running out, but equally, I want to leave this world in a way that my kids can be proud of me. I mean, right now, you know, we always joke about life and say, if I'm at my epitaph, if at the funeral they don't go, you know, I've done all right despite my mother, I'll be dissatisfied. But again, what I mean is I think in life you've just got to find what makes you tick, and purpose makes me tick, and actually doing things that can make change happen makes me tick. I've always been about choice and opportunity. We both lived through a generation of life where, you know, we had the ability, or thought we had the ability, to be everything to everyone. We could be a mother, we could have a career, we could have all this. And we realised then that we were the guinea pigs. You can't have it all, but you can have what you choose. But equally in life, my previous business is all about helping women get themselves from middle management to the executive. Because actually we needed to get more women to aspire to want to go to the top, but we got more businesses to need to want them and support them to get there. And then I actually cashed in on my business, and I was going to have my Thelma and Louise time in life. And actually this was going to be my time. And I actually felt like I kept going back to the doctors. I've never been to the doctors in all these years, but all of a sudden I was a regular at the doctor. You know, receptionists started to know me, who hadn't known me for years. And I was going with aching joints. I was going from tiredness. I was going from just lethargy. I was going from having a meltdown in a Sainsbury's because they didn't have the right strawberry yogurt. You know, these are things that I'd just taken on life before. And actually at that point then I realised that I wanted to have this Thelma and Louise period of my life, but I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling emotional. I was feeling aching. And everyone said it's because I'd lost my purpose. I'd cashed in on my business and I'd lost my purpose. And it was one of my friends, she just said, Heather, I don't think you're depressed. I think you're perimenopausal.
Really?
And that was the starting point of many things. It was the starting point of me finding myself again. It was the start of me actually taking hold of something and realising I can do this. I can find what I need to do. I've been a marathon runner, you know, I've done lots of different activities in my life where I've prepared for them. And I thought, actually, I hadn't prepared for perimenopause, so let's not get bitter about this. Let's get better at it. I wanted something for time-poor women like myself, who actually we've got used to buying on Amazon. We want it today, not, you know, today's too late. We wanted it yesterday. Yeah. And I went, do you know what? I'm really frustrated. We need retailers to treat menopause like the new vegan. And I was so angry when I said it. I didn't say, let's make menopause like the new vegan. Yeah. You can imagine the expletives that were in there as well. Because I'd actually Googled that in the world there were 20% menopausal women at any one time, And yet there was only 3% of vegans. Now, I'm not against vegans. I love vegans and everything else. But you look at veganism, over the last 40 years, it's grown to a 3% market share. And that's been grown through marketeers and everything else, understanding them, giving them the needs, delivering on what their experiences and what their desires and needs are. That's 3% of a life choice. And again, they've got signposting, they've got customer experience. You won't put a meat counter next to a vegan counter, all these things. And yet, as a 50-year-old menopausal woman, where was my signposting? Where was my, helping me with my experience when, if you realised I was overwhelmed, sleep deprived, brain fogged, why are you hiding your products in your store that I can't find them? Why is it, am I going on the internet and it's a minefield? If you really understood me, you'd do it better. So I said, that's it. We make menopause the new vegan.
So I was going to ask you, what would you say your top 5 products would be for an overwhelmed perimenopausal woman who hasn't got time for doing big searches, almost doesn't know what she doesn't know?
Well, I can give you my top 5, but as you know, every woman's menopause is different. And actually, we're both in privileged positions where we get sent products occasionally and everything else. And what can work for me might not necessarily work for my friend or vice versa. But the top 5 products for me were actually, and I'm going to call food a product.
Yeah.
Because changing my diet made a massive difference. Yeah. I think I represent an audience of women who will relate to this, that we've been the guinea pigs of dieting. We've done the Atkins, the Cambridge, the yo-yo diet, the actual cabbage soup diet. We've been very calorie deficit all our life. It's always been about, the size we are, what size clothing we're wearing. And actually, through no fault of our own and through society and everything else, we just didn't learn about nutrients. We learned about calories. 4 apples equates to 1 Mars bar. I can tell you that still to this day. Why would you eat an apple when you can have a Mars bar? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I do believe our generation of women are entering the menopause worse conditioned than any other generation that's ever been. I look at my grandma, she had her own allotment, she didn't drive a car, she did her weights by carrying the shopping bags and everything else. Yeah. So food for me, when I realised that I'd got to get the right nutrients into me, many of my symptoms changed literally within weeks of me changing my diet. So I do think food, whichever way you look at it.
And how did you change your diet?
Completely overnight. I'm a very practical person that actually once you've got to do something, protein. I mean, I looked at everything that I had to eat and I think, oh my God, I'm going to pile on weight here and everything else if I eat, because I've never had a problem with food, but I'm just not interested in it. It's like petrol, you put it in your tank or whatever. But actually, the amount of protein you to eat and everything else, I think, oh my God, but now I've got more energy. I go to the gym. I'm actually more shredded than I've ever been in my life. And yet I'm thinking, if I'd known more about nutrition then, all these years I've been fighting to get a better body and I've just run it off. And actually eating, sleeping, again, get some really great food in you. You're not waking up in them. So for me, nutrition, and I think everyone's nutritional needs are different, but mine was so I was so neutralized or whatever the word is. It was a big wake-up call for me.
Protein is an amazing one. So my son is very interested in the amount of protein that he gets into his body. And he is often coming up with statistics about how many grams of protein he needs to eat. I'm slightly skeptical about whether he really needs to eat 25 eggs a day. But even like an egg has got a tiny amount of protein in. You've got to eat kind of a number of eggs a day to get your daily protein allowance. Yeah. And so if you kind of equate that to all the other different types of protein containing food, you've really got to think about it. You've really got to think about it.
And actually, I did and take some protein powder as well on top of it, because physically I couldn't eat. Now I don't take the protein powder, I actually eat the protein. Yeah. But I had to subconsciously start to build it in because, it felt bulk. I was eating all my chicken and everything else. But when you start seeing the results and feeling better, all of a sudden having to eat it doesn't seem a problem at all. And the less you think about how many grams you've had and you just eat the protein, it soon builds up. And so food was one thing, but actually for me, skincare as well. I mean, everyone looks at faces and necks. I was looking at my whole bloody body. You know, it was like, you know, I don't know about anyone else listening to this or if anyone else is listening today because it's me, but actually, you know.
Don't say that.
I know, but we've all got to laugh. We've got to be realistic. We've got to be realistic. No, but
You're going to be our number one.
I'd wake up in the morning and I'd look at my arms and not recognise they were all crinkly and everything else. And I'd go, oh my God, I've woken up with an 80-year-old woman in here. Shit, it's my arms. And all these sort of things that I wanted, and I'd put cream on and I didn't know whether. You'd leave the bathroom and wonder whether you'd put the cream on because it had just completely gone through your skin and it was as dry as ever. Body cream, for me, absolutely changed my feeling about my skin because let's be honest, the skin is what you live in. And if that's not feeling good or you don't think it's looking good, that really does have an impact on you, you know.
But also, if it's dry, it's likely to be itchy, it's likely to be flaky, or you know, you're going to be uncomfortable in the night, you're going to be uncomfortable in your clothes. It's
totally.
It's a medical treatment, isn't it, for dry, itchy skin?
Completely. And I don't know about yourself, but you know, as a young person, and I call it a young person up to being 50, then we go into like a bit of a midlife. But as a young person, on a Friday night, I could easily go to the gym, dry my hair under the dryer, upside down, back, and it was bouffanted. I glowed. I was ready to go out on a Friday night. Now, at my age, I felt like I was doing 3 hours preparation and looking like I hadn't made an effort at all and feeling dull and translucent. My skin, you know, my hair just didn't have that vibrancy that it had. And actually, again, these aren't overnight things. It's consistency. You can't expect everything to work. So I got my skin and then my hair. And actually, I have to admit, I have, shellacs on my nails. And I don't know about anyone else here, but actually there was a point where my shellacs weren't lasting. I wasn't even getting the ability to have that enjoyment of picking them off. They were falling off. Do you know what I mean? And again, it was because my nails were going brittle underneath, and it wasn't because of the shellac. It was because of the condition of my body and my nails. So, you know, these might seem little things to someone, but actually they were big things to me. I think my number 5, I have to say, running shoes. No, I'm not. I'm going to say running shoes and a pair of dumbbells, because actually I have always been someone who's, if I'm not hot and sweaty after exercise, I used to feel it's not been worth it. If I was getting out of bed to run 3 miles, I'm not bothering.
Do
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I started reading up about Pilates. I started about strength exercises and actually about what conditions could happen to me later on in this period. But again, you've got to understand what your body's needing, whether it be sleep, whether it be omega-3s, whether it be... There's magnesium. I mean, I have to add in a magnesium as well. I know I've gone 6, but in life I always
think
get...
that's only 5.
All right, billion. All right, well, I can't count. So, but again, you know, throw in some magnesium as well, because actually I don't think many people, men or women, appreciate the power of magnesium in our lives. And so, you know, they're my basics, but actually I could give you, I'm sure your 5 are going to be different to mine. And one of my friends, she will say that if she had to pick 5 things, it would be 5 chill pillows, because chill pillows have been, you know, and to me, that's where we need to get to now, that what is it we need to actually enhance our lived experience. We're not about curing menopause. We're about living our best life through it. I'm looking forward to going through it. I mean, I'm now wondering what we're going to do after menopause, because I'm now I'm post-menopause, and I'm going, well, I'm doing all this now for menopause, but what about me?
So what are you going to do?
I'm going to carry on doing what I've been doing. And do you know what? If someone had told me 5 years ago that I'd actually come through menopause and actually have applied myself to... I do believe attitude's a big one as well, that actually no matter how great our doctors are, no matter how great the products are out there, we've got to have the attitude to want to live a better menopause. It's not just about buying products. It's not just about taking HRT. It's applying ourselves here. There isn't one silver bullet. We have to look at our lives and go, if we've been honoured to be the generation that has the opportunity to live longer post-reproduction than pre-reproduction, I don't want to live longer if I'm going to feel like crap. I want to live longer and be the best version of myself. And that's not just going to happen by manifesting it and praying on it. You're going to have to do something about it.
So how can women advocate for themselves so that they have that confidence, even when they're not massively feeling confident?
Do you know what? I think the best thing they can do is start to value themselves more. And actually, it's not about the confidence, it's about how much you value yourself. We all hear that we're all time poor, we're all looking after our aging parents or our teenage kids or our careers at the top of the tree, and we need to really concentrate on that. But all our lives as women, we've undervalued ourselves. And if we can't be the generation to prove that actually this is time to put me number one, and actually then everything else will fall into place, then I'll keep my job going, then I'll keep my family going. But actually, I want more women to really aspire to put themselves as number one. And if they can put themselves as number one, all the other bricks fall into place. And I think that's a hard thing to do for my generation, especially because we've always been there for everybody else. And, and it's time now to go, hang on a minute, guys, this is my time. And actually, I want to be the best version of myself. I want to give the aspiration for women to thrive, but we've all got to know about it and all understand it. And it shouldn't be the most frightening period of our lives. It should be the most empowering. These are all things that will allow women to live their best menopause. And if women thrive, the world thrives. I'm very fundamental about that. It's been my passion all my life, women, opportunity, not because we need it and want it, because it's the opportunity to have a world that lives better if we can have the right opportunities and choice for women. And menopause is the last barrier to this. It really is.
How do you think society views menopausal women at the moment, currently?
Well, I think society, and from our research, it clearly shows that, more women in 2025 fear menopause than they did in 2020.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Because the rhetoric has been so negative. We had to start it somewhere. Even we were responsible as well. We did the, menopause shatters lives, but we had to start somewhere. But actually then the rhetoric became, everyone talking about how bad their menopause has been and it worries me and everything else. Now, do not get me wrong. We needed to raise it.
But it's like unidentified menopause shatters lives, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
That's the kind of missing word.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
When you know what it is and you identify it.
Well, half of my friends, when we started doing the research and showing them that actually half my friends had gone, oh my God, I've been having these signs for the last 10 years. If you wouldn't let your petrol tank run down, because it goes into the dregs and everything else. Why, as women, are we letting our own emotional, physical, mental tank run to the dregs of it before we do something? Now, it's very hard to pick yourself up confidence-wise and health-wise when you've taken yourself to the bottom. It's a lot. Whereas actually, if you can keep topping it up and keep, use it as a monitor, your perimenopause, it might be some symptoms one week and it might be totally different ones the month after, but look at them and see how better you can accommodate it.
Education is really just providing women with like a kind of menopause petrol gauge.
Completely.
So you can kind of, you know where you are, and you can, and then it helps, as soon as you recognise that in yourself, you can then choose whatever petrol, diesel.
Completely. And I think as well, that's where...
E-powered, whatever it is
it's
that
your
you
choice.
need.
Most women want to manage their menopause their way. And actually choose whether it's HRT or not HRT and everything else. It's we live in a world that we're very lucky to have choices, but we haven't had the education.
If you're enjoying this conversation so far, please do press the follow button on whatever platform you're listening on. Or please do share it with a friend who you think would benefit too. Do you think that there are more women staying at work now, or do you think that's not changed in the last 5 years?
Well, over the last 5 years, I think again it's going to take time for this to come in, and I am annoyed at myself 30 years ago, 25 years ago, when we all were looking at getting more women to the top in companies. We all did the research. We're all responsible that actually the research came out that if women felt that if we changed the culture of companies, more women will go to the top. And that's a fact. The culture was bad. But actually what we didn't ask was there anything else impacting those women? And let's be honest, 25 years ago, no woman would have admitted that they felt menopausal or even known that they were doing it. They were losing confidence, feeling like they needed to drop out. So I am annoyed that we didn't push further on that, because we changed the cultures of many companies, but still women were coming out. So that's why I say menopause is that last barrier to getting more women to stay in companies, because if we support them better and understand them, women don't want to be having time off for their menopause. They just want to be better understood. They've worked hard to get to these places, whether it's the manager of a company, whether it's the top cashier in the company, or it doesn't matter. You've earned your place there, and you want to be thriving. You want to be working. So, do I think women are still leaving the workplace? Yes, I do. Do I think that's because we don't know enough about menopause? Yes, I do. But do I think it's a business issue in terms of HR and that? No, I don't. It's a people issue. I don't want companies just putting managers through a menopause program to see how they need to manage a woman in their team. I want businesses to talk about menopause so that actually it's a people issue, that you learn it, you take it home, you realise that's for your wife, that's for your partner, that's for your friend, your lover. It's also for your work colleague as well. Let's make societal change by, rather than, when you're forced to go on programs, it feels like it's pushing you somewhere. It's like law. If you make it legislation, it feels very fearful. Whereas actually these brands and companies should be doing it because it's the right thing to do, not because they've been forced to it. So I do think that, back to your question, do I think more women leaving? I think it's not changed, but I actually think it will change. We allow women to feel better supported, give them the aspiration to thrive as well. And please don't get me wrong, I don't want him going, I've wanted the aspiration to thrive, but I can't. Sometimes we've just got to actually push our aspiration further and put ourselves number one and value it, and actually take no shit from anyone and get on with making your life the best it can be. And then I think we'll start to really see change. And I think we'll see more great businesswomen coming out of it, actually leaving the corporate world and becoming founders and everything else.
So one of the reasons I wanted to make this podcast was to be able to involve the community, the kind of menopause community. So I've got a couple of questions, if that's okay. So Angie says, I'm nearly 50 now and I've been considering a career change for the past 6 months. I would love to set up my own business, but I'm worried that this isn't the right time for me. My perimenopause symptoms have been getting more and more intense, with brain fog causing me to make blunders at work and constant fatigue wearing me down. I guess what I want to know is, could this career transition be the spark of new life and energy I need right now, or is it a recipe for burnout?
Do you know what? If you don't try it, you're never going to know. And actually, the biggest thing in life is regret. And actually, if she's feeling that she wants to move on and start a new life and a new career, so long as she's persistent, she's got the right attitude to it, she's strong, she's resilient, and actually, but she's got passion for doing it.
Yeah.
You've only got one chance. And I wouldn't want to be a woman who looks back and goes, if only I'd actually thought about why didn't I do it? But you can always go back to the corporate world.
I completely agree. I think that sounds so. I'm excited for her.
Completely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Go, girl, go.
The last one is from Sam, who says, menopause has given me the worst acne. I feel like a teenager again. What can I do to help? No face scrubs or creams from the supermarket have worked so well. I'm beginning to lose all hope. What is out there for menopausal women?
There's plenty of products out there. I mean, obviously, if it's really bad, she can come and see you as a doctor or a doctor, but also go into your Boots or a pharmacy and actually ask them what they've got, because, there are some great products. So I would really ask her to really Google and look for some great skin products. And if she wants to drop me a note, I'll send her to some of the products. I've got to stay independent, and I can't say which brands are better than the others, but I can certainly direct her some brands that'll help her with her skin.
I think one of the things about acne, and it's not just in menopausal women, it's kind of particularly in teenagers and menopausal women, is that because it's almost viewed by some as being a cosmetic condition, it's not taken seriously, and so people don't seek appropriate help fast enough, and it scars, and it gets infected
completely.
And there's so much that you can do about it,
but
both yourself and medically.
In life that knocks your confidence can be we can't ignore, because once your confidence starts ebbing away, your social anxiety comes in, your life changes. You don't want to go to work. We cannot ignore and think that I'm not going, this pimple, it's just not to be treated. Actually, you can value yourself. That pimple is annoying you. It is upsetting you. It is causing your confidence to ebb. Anything, I believe, anything that's even daring to touch on your confidence as a midlife woman, get rid of it.
It needs to,
and sort it. And
it's not trivial. It's
no,
not trivial.
no. But it's like many people write to me now going, oh, I've lost confidence to drive and everything else. They haven't lost confidence to drive. You've got dry eyes that are actually affecting them when they're night viewing. So when they're night viewing and they're out there, they think, oh, the lights are all brighter and everything else. If they went to their opticians or went into a Boots and looked at what's out there for dry eyes, they would find then that actually they can drive. But actually, once they start, then they tell the girlfriends, oh, I'm not coming out. I'm not going to come out. I'll have to drive. Then they go, no, I don't want picking up, because they start losing it, because then they've sat on the settee and they've eaten the biscuits and they've put on a bit of weight, and then they go, oh, I haven't got anything to wear, so I'm not going to go out. And it builds up. And that's all come from not going out and driving to see your friends. So again, everything has an impact if we keep ignoring it.
It really does. Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you. If I didn't manage to answer your question today, or if you have any other questions, then please feel free to follow me on Instagram. I do a lot of educational posts and videos. My handle there is Dr._Naomi Potter, and hopefully you will find the answers to your questions there. Alternatively, on my website, which is menopausecare.co.uk, there is a big information hub, and you should be able to find your answers there as well.